What's up, gang? We're back to talk more NBA basketball here as we're kind of quickly approach the regular season. Already got the Japan games going, preseason's underway, and we got to get through more teams in the Western Conference if we're gonna cover all our bases here. Now getting back to the Western Conference here, starting with the Los Angeles Clippers. Every team has health concerns. There's always, as we're projecting where we think they're going to land, those two words, when healthy, this team can be what? And the Clippers perhaps have the biggest question marks in those areas, given their two franchise cornerstones in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have had, extensive stretches being out. Kawhi Leonard, of course, seasons, and Paul George, coming in and out. And so when we talk Clippers, they've kind of been in the discussion as a rising team, given, Kawhi looks healthy, Paul George looks healthy going into the year. Whether, load management is going to play a big role into this season, I imagine there will be some of it, and probably at this point to be expected, just given how, the importance of star players, especially come playoff time. But this is a team generally, kept the same core from last year. Of course, the big kind of headline adding John Wall and, Isaiah Hartenstein, nice player, and losing him may hurt them if they need, if Zubac gets hurt, and need kind of that backup traditional big. But as long as that doesn't happen, should be okay in that regard. But getting back to Wall, I think this is a pretty ideal situation for him coming back now after missing so much basketball in terms of, expectations. He's not going to be a top two star on paper on this team. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, obviously. And, Reggie Jackson is a professional basketball player, and meaning he's a solid starter, someone who can run an offense, who's been there for a while now. And so there's not, the expectation that John Wall has to come in immediately and, be putting up 20 points a game. There's a way to kind of take advantage of what he still has left in the tank, where he can pick his spots, where he can, distribute to these shooters that are on this roster now, and without having to be the John Wall that is all-star John Wall. And so, we can expect him, hopefully, to be, an important piece of this team, but not have to, force the issue and try and be someone he's not, or try and be the John Wall of 5 years ago. So I'm excited to see how he kind of fits into this puzzle in LA. And when you think, you're talking expectations as a whole for this team, talking about when healthy, but I think, they have kind of check off a lot of boxes in terms of title contending teams. When you look at, the past champions, generally they have a superstar at the wing position. Your LeBron Jameses, Kevin Durant's, Kawhi Leonard's, Giannis to maybe a lesser extent because he's not, can't really shoot from outside a ton, but he's not your traditional center or traditional point guard. And obviously, we haven't seen a lot of traditional point guards where your best player is a point guard or a center do well. Obviously, Steph Curry's an exception, but he's also the best shooter in the history of the planet. So, you can't really apply to this rule in general. But they have this, they have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They have two superstars at the wing position, two guys that can defend, two guys that can shoot, get to the rim. They have two of them. A lot of teams only have one. Now, of course, they have to be healthy. But the second thing here is, in terms of at least regular season and securing, a top seed, is the depth that they have, across the board, really, when you look at, acquiring Norman Powell and Robert Covington from Portland. You're assuming, starting is going to probably be Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, George, Kawhi, and Zubac. But off that, you're looking at John Wall, you're looking at Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, then Covington. Amir Coffey can score in bunches, Brandon Boston can score in bunches. And so this is a team that, even if they want to do the load management route, have the depth to still compete without one or two of their stars. We saw, them being in the play-in here past year without really any star power. So that's going to help, I think, in trying to secure a top seed. And then you look at, roster flexibility and positional flexibility. When you're in a 7-game series, you have to be able to adapt to opponents, game to game, trying to attack them different ways, be able to adjust to what they're doing. We see that now, and we're reminded of that every playoffs, that the teams that are able to adjust, the teams that can do multiple things in different packages and different, lineups, those are the teams that have success. And so look at this team, and, Zubac gives you your traditional big against your Jokic's and your Goberts and your Embiids. But, they can play small, and they have a bunch of guys that can play that kind of small center if you want to go kind of smaller and do a lineup with like Jackson, Powell, Kennard, George, and Leonard. Covington can play kind of a small 5. Marcus Morris can play that small 5. You also have Nicholas Batum, who I haven't mentioned, that can do a bunch of stuff for you and can shoot well, from the corners. This roster is really good. And I feel like, 10-man, kind of 1 through 10, really solid and probably better than most teams in the West. Just a huge question mark as their stars are getting older. Can they hold up health-wise? Can they play a whole season? Can they hold up in the playoffs? So many question marks. This Clippers team probably has maybe one of the higher floors in terms of, because they are so talented, they can weather some of the injuries, and have one of the highest ceilings in terms of where that kind of lands, and if Kawhi and Paul George can play. So I don't know. I like them as kind of a dark horse sleeper team because they have been kind of out of the discussion of recent memory. But it's just a lot of question marks. I'm going to go down, though, and say that the Clippers are going to be between like 3 and 6, I would say, because I think they're going to get, if they don't get Kawhi and Paul George for a full season, they're going to get him for a good chunk of time. I look forward to seeing how John Wall fits in. Let me know what you think about these Clippers, where you see them landing in the West. Look forward to hearing from you. How do you see John Wall playing? What level is he going to be at when he comes back? Maybe throwing lobs to PG Kawhi. Let's see. But that's going to do it for me. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.